You know what's the least scariest thing in the whole world? Plants. Yeah, I'm telling you, plants are like, oh my god, it's a plant! Ah! Howdy folks, Jamboree here. The movie I'm going to be reviewing for this episode of Puppet Panic has a bit of history to it. Let me explain. In 1960, B-movie filmmaker Roger Corman ambitiously took on the challenge of making a movie called Little Shop of Horrors under just 2 days using a very small budget. Amazingly, he not only finished and released it, but it also became a cult success. Decades later, songwriter Howard Ashman and composer Alan Menken, who would later go on to make songs for Disney films like The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin, turned the film into a very successful stage musical. And in 1986, puppeteer and filmmaker Frank Oz adapted the musical into a feature-length live-action movie, the film I'm going to be reviewing for this episode of Puppet Panic. Little Shop of Horrors is a musical horror comedy. When Mr. Mushnick's flower shop starts to suffer from poor business, the nerdy hapless Seymour suggests that they put a strange and interesting plant he found on display. A plant he named Audrey II after his co-worker Audrey. This plant draws attention from the public and turns Mushnick's shop into a star attraction. There's a big problem though. Seymour finds out that the only way to keep Audrey II alive and growing is by feeding him fresh blood. As Seymour continues to receive fame, exciting offers, and the chance to date Audrey, he starts depending on human corpses to feed the blood-hungry plant. Luckily for him, he knows the perfect victim: Audrey's abusive, sadistic boyfriend, Orvin Scrivello. This movie is very self-aware and clearly loves its source material. It wears its campy inspirations proudly like a shiny badge. It combines the corny hokiness of a 60s B-movie with the lavish charm of a stage musical, to create an incredibly unique tone and style for itself. This gives it a special identity that helps it stand out from other musical movies. At the same time, it knows it's a movie and has to expand on its source materials. The production values are really impressive, from the scope and detail of the handmade sets to the passionate effort behind the practical effects. Everything is also shot with a cinematic eye, as director Frank Oz uses the camera to make the movie feel more like a film than a stage play, without losing the spirit of its theatre origins. The casting also gives a Hollywood touch to the film too. A lot of the characters are played by some of the biggest comedy actors of the 80s, including Rick Moranis, Steve Martin, John Candy, Bill Murray, and many others. Each one gets to showcase their talent, proving why they became such big stars at the time. Rick Moranis leads the film with his awkward, nerdy charm.
Seymour, what's going on down there? Very little, Mr. Mushnick.
Steve Martin shows off his surreal cartooniness.
Here we go.
John Candy shines with his lovable, cuddly comic nature.
And now Wink Wilkinson's Weird World with your host, Wink Wilkinson. Hi, everybody, it's Weird Wink Wilkinson laughing and scratching at you. How's everybody doing today? I got a little bit of a stiff neck. Let me just fix this up. Oh, that feels a lot better. Well, I got a great show for you today with some wonderful weird stuff.
Plus, Bill Murray is his usual dry and witty self.
What happened? What did you do? Tell me everything. Huh? Yeah. Well, they have to do that to remove the jaw. Consider yourself very, very lucky.
Although, these comic stars aren't the only cast members that add to the film. Vincent Gardenia is entertainingly hammy as Mr. Mushnick, playing the role with a larger-than-life personality.
Oh, God, what an existence I got. Misfit employees, bums on the sidewalk, business is lousy, my life is a living hell!
And Ellen Greene is jaw-droppingly perfect as Audrey. It's as if she was born to play the role. She's both self-aware and heartfelt, bringing a wonderful depth to the character.
You know, I think you ought to raise your expectations, Seymour. Now that you're getting successful, I mean, it's clear you suffer from a low self-image.
I love every song in this musical too. Each one is catchy, fun, and wonderfully campy. They brilliantly reflect the characters' personalities and the tone of the film. Howard Ashman's lyrics are creatively tongue-in-cheek and blackly comic, while Alan Menken's music is hip and jazzy with hints of dark undertones. I always happily sing along to these numbers every time I hear them, they're that good.
If you want a rationale, it isn't very hard to see. No, no, no. Stop and think it over, pal. The guy sure looks like plant food to me. The guy sure looks like plant food to me. The guy sure looks like plant food to me.
Behind all the dark horror and silliness though, there's a lot of heart and emotion that gives so much substance to the film's narrative. The film centres itself on the character's dreams of living better lives beyond the grimy streets of Skid Row. This character motivation has Howard Ashman's fingerprints all over it, whose musicals usually feature an I Want song because his characters often have a dream for a different or better life. The film also does a fantastic job painting Skid Row as the worst place to be, through the mucky backdrops and a song about the misery of living there, which helps us to see why Seymour and Audrey really want to leave. I do also feel for Seymour and Audrey. They're both broken souls with low self-esteem. Seymour is an unconfident man living in the basement of a flower shop, and Audrey is a sweet girl stuck in an abusive relationship with a sadistic dentist. This is what makes the relationship between Audrey and Seymour so endearing. They're crazy about each other, but they don't love themselves enough to believe that they deserve each other. That is both heartbreaking and adorable at the same time. There's a sweet and touching chemistry between them held together by their shared dreams.
Oh, I'm a very bad shopper, Audrey. I don't have good tastes like you.
Oh. Well, I could help you pick things out.
You could?
Sure.
You'd go shopping with me?
Sure.
You'd be seen with me in a public place like a department store?
Sure.
Now, what about the puppetry, the focus of this review series? Well, where do I begin? The puppetry for Audrey II in this film is absolutely breathtaking, and certainly one of cinema's finest practical effects achievements. Anyone who believes that puppetry is old-fashioned and dated really needs to see this film. Audrey II's puppet was built with so much love and passion. Every leaf and vine has been crafted with character and detail, which really shows in the finished film. The fact that there's around 7 stages of the puppet makes it even more impressive. Sure, he has no eyes or brows, but the puppeteers use his robust head and elastic mouth to give a strong, energetic performance. The puppet has been given so much freedom of expression that it's easy to believe that it's a living, breathing organism. Heck, Rick Moranis even had this to say about working with the puppet.
The plant, I think, thanks mostly to Frank and to all the people working in that department, the plant has taken on the characteristics of a human. And I feel sometimes when I'm working with the plant that I'm working with a really ugly guy, you know, some weird guy with a green head and a big mouth and that's made of rubber. It's the kind of concentration involved in acting, and as the character treating him like a character makes me almost forget sometimes that it is an inanimate object because he's so animated at the time that I'm working with him.
The Audrey II puppet is so convincing that it helped actors on set believe that the character was actually there. Now that is testament to the workmanship behind the puppet. Levi Stubbs also helps by doing a fantastically eccentric voice for Audrey II. He sounds effectively threatening, yet hilarious at the same time.
Feed me!
Tui, you talked! You opened your trap, you sing and you said...
Feed me, Carbon! Feed me now!
I can't!
I'm starving!
Look, maybe I can squeeze a little more out of this one.
More!
There isn't any more! What do you want me to do, slit my wrists?
Now, before I make my final verdict, I think I should address the director's original ending. You see, director Frank Oz actually shot a completely different ending to the one shown in the finished film. However, negative test audience reactions influenced Oz to make a new alternate ending for the theatrical version. Without giving away any spoilers, I have seen the original ending and the theatrical ending. I do prefer the theatrical ending. Don't get me wrong, I think that the original ending is amazingly grand and gut-wrenching, but I feel as if that the theatrical ending fits the tone of the film more, while also having a satisfying closure with a hint of something sinister. So, which version should you see? It depends on what you'd prefer. Do you want to see an ending dictated by test audience responses? Watch the theatrical cut. Do you want to see an ending envisioned by the filmmakers? Watch the director's cut. It's really up to you. To conclude, Little Shop of Horrors is a fun, campy and darkly comic movie with memorable catchy songs, a strong central romance, amazing puppetry and perfect casting. I highly recommend it if you enjoy silly, funny horror musicals. However, If you're not a musical fan or prefer your horror to be taken more seriously, then this film isn't for you. So, what do you think of Little Shop of Horrors? And do you have a favourite horror musical? Let me know in the comment section below. I've been Jamboree, and this has been the finale for Season 1 of Puppet Panic. When I return in Season 2, I'm going to review The Dark Crystal. Cheerio, folks.